Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, with the government open for business again. It is State of the Union time now in Washington on Tuesday night. And for GM workers in Lordstown, it's a chance they hope to bring attention to their fight. The State of the Union is no doubt a platform for a sitting president to make their case to the country, but it also provides a stage for those who get an invite to attend. Such was the hope of Congressman Tim Ryan in inviting Dave Green, the head of the local union representing the Lordstown GM workers. Green hoped his presence in the chamber would send a message.
But jobs are important, especially here in Northeast Ohio. You know that manufacturing is critical to our economy, to our social well-being. It's part of the social fabric here in this part of the country. We want to make sure we keep that manufacturing alive.
But this has been unlike any State of the Union in recent memory.
It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
The government shutdown, reopening, and now threat of another shutdown in February has knocked GM's decision to close several plants, including Lordstown, off the front pages outside of the affected cities. Green said he supports the government workers who are caught in the middle of a political fight, but they at least know they had jobs waiting for them.
Lordstown's not going to go anywhere. We're still going to be here fighting after all the federal workers go back to work. Our situation, though, after March, our members don't know if they're going to go back or when. So it may be a little bit longer than an extended government shutdown. You know, they're going to be out of work for at least 6 months and maybe more.
And Green says when he makes that drive to D.C. on Tuesday, he'll be making it in his Lordstown-made Chevy Cruze. Well, today is February 3rd. It's a day that political junkies like me have had circled on their calendars for some time now because we are 1 year to the day away from the Iowa caucuses. The caucuses, of course, represent one of the most interesting exercises of American democracy. The Republicans caucus by voting on pieces of paper, Post-it notes in a lot of cases, making the vote tally at the end of the night at times challenging. While for the Democrats, it is literally a throwback to the days of stand up and be counted.
48.
49. The caucus goers counting off for their candidate. The timing of this weekend not lost on Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown. He wrapped up a 3-day swing of Iowa yesterday as he weighs whether or not to be one of those courting caucus goers a year from today. In 2016, Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown was vetted by Hillary Clinton to be her vice president. 4 years later, Brown himself is doing the vetting, weighing the pros and cons of a race for president, something he'll do as part of what he calls a dignity of work tour.
If you work hard and play by the rules, you ought to be able to have a decent standard of living. That's not always the case today, and that's what I fight for, and that's what this trip to the 4 primary states will be about.
It will also be about building name recognition as he tests the waters for a presidential run, a decision that will have to be made fairly quickly given the pace of Democrats already announcing.
A lot of these operatives, the fundraisers, but particularly those that are organizing, that become your staff, your volunteers, are already being approached to take sides and pick candidates to go with. And if he doesn't jump in soon, he's going to lose some of those potential assets in each of these states.
The field of Democrats who either have or are expected to announce is already crowded. They are, for the most part, from border or coastal states, leaving Brown still with a lane.
And that lane really it's the lane of the Midwest. It's the lane of those states that decided the 2016 election. And quite frankly, anyone coming from the coasts is suspect as a Democrat because they are more liberal. They do tend to be more progressive. And that can attract one audience as a constituency, but there's other audiences that won't be attracted.
Possibly, again, the Midwest audience that Brown represents, working-class Democrats that voted for him last year and President Trump 2 years before.
Thank you for showing the country that an outspoken progressive can win and win decisively in the heartland.
And as Tom Sutton pointed out, it was the heartland that played a huge role in deciding the 2016 race when Donald Trump only won the states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin by a combined total of 78,000 votes.
I think that's part of where Sherrod Brown does have some advantage, and a lane that, despite lack of name recognition now, he may be able to make up for, and in time may become one of the leading contenders out of the 15, 20 plus that wind up running.
And online, there are all kinds of betting sites showing the odds of each of those presidential hopefuls. I bring that up because today is Super Bowl Sunday, one of the biggest sports wagering days of the year, made even bigger by the fact that it's the first Super Bowl since the Supreme Court expanded sports gambling last June. The American Gaming Association says 1 in 10 Americans will be placing a bet on the game to the tune of $6 billion. That's a better than 20% increase over last year. And for the first time ever, Ohioans are now only a short drive away from legally placing a bet on the game. Since the Supreme Court cleared the way for legalized sports betting outside of Nevada, 7 new states are now offering it, including the neighboring states of Pennsylvania and West Virginia, with the sportsbook at Pittsburgh's Rivers Casino opening in December in time for Pittsburgh fans to bet on the Steelers to win the Super Bowl.
It's 20-1, and it's worth a shot.
Heinz Field hindsight, no, it wasn't. Once regulatory hurdles are cleared, Pennsylvania hopes to add mobile sports betting, where someone need only drive over the border, and once the phone recognizes they're in the state, place a bet through an app, and then drive back. So where do things stand with sports betting in Ohio? Though the legislative process started last summer, it will have to start again, seeing as there is a new legislature in place.
It's coming to Ohio whether people want it or not.
New Governor Mike DeWine telling News 5 last fall that he wants to make sure the legislature does it before it goes to a referendum like the casinos did in 2009, which essentially cut the state out of tax revenue.
I think it's important for Ohio to do it right.
And those behind last year's Ohio sports betting push say this year's effort should become clearer in the coming weeks. With Democracy 2019, I'm John Kosich. Enjoy your Sunday.